Hey there. Since it is the day that Wes Craven has passed away, a legendary filmmaker, and absolute amazing boon to the genre of horror, a man whose work changed the face of the genre in a lot of ways, and the genre would not be the same without him. I wanted to not just leave it as just a eulogy, just a quick little give my thoughts on his passing and so forth, and say my respects and so forth. I wanted to take a look at his filmography and do some of the similar sort of thing that I did with Robin Williams when he passed, where I went through his films and had some thoughts and so forth. So forgive me if I get choked up in some moments because I'm still wrapping my brain around this tragic loss. I mean, and just the way he died too. I mean, brain cancer. I mean, ugh. Like I said, for such an intelligent man to have his brain basically kill him. That's just. Well, I mean, it's cancer, but have cancer kill his brain and then kill him is just. Ugh. It's terrible. Anyway, his first film he directed was The Last House on the Left, and it's a film that I personally care for the remake more, but that's just me. I just like the remake a little bit more. I thought it was a little bit better paced, but I respect it. I respect the film regardless. It's the first film he directed. Without it and its surprise success, he probably would not go on to have the career that he would have. And so I do respect the film in that regard. I just thought there was some uneven sort of stuff with these stupid redneck cops, and it had made it so it was just a shift in tone that I didn't really like. But overall, I respect the film. I do. Uh, he did something called The Fireworks Woman under the name Abe Snake, which is a TV movie. Um, I've never seen it, so I really don't know what to say about it. He uh, he then went on to direct Stranger in Our House, a TV movie, which I've never seen, which is also known as Summer of Fear with Linda Blair. And then then he went on to do Deadly Blessing, which is a film that I didn't really care for either. Amish, sort of evil Amish, but there were definitely some good things about it. I mean, the sequence in the bathtub with the snake I thought was pretty chilling and pretty creepy. He did Swamp Thing, which I remember fondly as a kid. I remember the memory of renting it at a Hollywood Video, the MGM release, which had all the nudity, Adrienne Barbeau nudity in it, and the one that was eventually taken off the shelves because of the nudity and so forth. I have a fond memory of that because my mom was shocked and wasn't really expecting that. And I don't mind Swamp Thing. I can watch it. I don't think it's a great movie, but there's a certain fun to be had with that film, and it does feel a lot like the comic did. Not the Alan Moore comics, but at least the early comics. Also did a film called Invitation to Hell, which I have, which I might watch. It's a TV movie he did in 1984 that he directed. Stars Robert Urich and Joanna Cassie, as well as Susan Lucci. Um, Same year he did Hills of Eyes Part 2, which, yeah, it's not a very good sequel. Um, he also did The Hills of Eyes, which I can't believe I skipped. Hills of Eyes is 1977. He directed that after Last House on the Left. I have the Tudor Special Edition. I mean, it'd be good as time as any now to revisit his filmography. I think that's what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put some of my other reviews on hold, and I was planning on doing Darkman soon, and I'm going to review Harbinger Down, and I'm going to review San Andreas, but I'm going to upload those later. I'm just going to start going through Wes Craven's filmography, and I'm just going to start watching Wes Craven films and reviewing them. I mean, You know, ones that I already reviewed, you know, I don't necessarily have to, but I wouldn't mind re-reviewing Surfer on the Rainbow because I think the review could be a little bit better. And but yeah, just my way to celebrate Wes Craven's career. I think he deserves that from me, to be honest, since he's one of my favorite horror film directors. So, Hills of Eyes, film I saw a long time ago, I thought was alright. And I like the remake more, but I still respect the film. Hills of Eyes Part 2, not so much. The movie has a flashback of a dog, it's really cheap. But, you know, I don't know what to say about that. Almost seems like the budget got taken away from him, didn't have that much to work with. Same year, though, he gave us A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984. One of the most iconic horror films of all time. Without a doubt, one of the best. And introduced the character of Freddy Krueger, who is, to this day, still my favorite horror icon. I'm a big fan of Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund's performance is great. And Wes Craven's, you know, contribution to the film is what catapulted Robert Englund into infamy, to become the horror legend that he is. And you know, Heather Langenkamp was great in it. And, you know, young Johnny Depp. And the concept was really great. The whole idea of a killer who would kill you in your dreams. And I always thought it was one of the scariest, you know, one of the most genuinely creepy films of its ilk I'd ever seen. And I still feel that way. Nightmare on Elm Street to me is a really great film. Um, did a TV movie called Chiller the next year, 1985. Stars Michael Beck. Never seen it. He then went on and did Deadly Friend. I guess he did directed a cartoon, I guess. Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, which I've never heard of, that I guess he did an episode of called Case Busters. But in 1986, same year that he did the Case Busters episode, he did Deadly Friend, which I haven't seen yet, so I really don't know what to say about it. I remember the basketball scene though, where Anne Ramsey gets her head blown up. Then he went on to direct some really excellent episodes of the 80s Twilight Zone, which I'm getting choked up thinking about these because I really love this show. And I'll probably just do little reviews of the segments that he directed. These are great segments. He directed the first episode, the first segments from the first episode of the 80s Twilight Zone revival from 1985 to I think it was 1987 or 88. And he directed Saturday of Bruce Willis, A Little Peace and Quiet, which is a film which were all segments I liked. He did Wordplay, a segment I really like. He did Dreams for Sale, Chameleon, all solid segments. Act Break, The Burning Man, Dealer's Choice. Dealer's Choice is one that I like. That is a card game. It's got Morgan Freeman in it, as well as a bunch of other actors. Great segment. He did Her Pilgrim Soul, which is one of my favorite segments of the entire series. It's full of so much emotion, and the effects aren't that great, but the story behind it is just heartwarming and at the same time heart-wrenching, and it's great. It's a great segment. And he also did The Road Less Traveled. And then in 1988, he did The Surfer on the Rainbow, which I thought was an excellent film. Bill Pullman. It's a movie I think deserves a special edition. It really does. I hope it gets one from Scream Factory. I mean, it's too late now to get Wes to do interviews about it, which is too bad, but you know, hopefully at least be able to get some sort of features for it. Yeah, The Surfer and Rainbow is definitely one of my favorite films that he's done. It's definitely, I also think it's my favorite film that deals with voodoo. And in 1989, he did Shocker, which I think is a criminally underrated film. I've already done a review, already did a video defending the film, saying it's not just another Nightmare on Elm Street, and I still believe that. And I don't have the Blu-ray yet, but I want to get it. I just don't have the funds to get it at the moment. But maybe I'll see if I can get it, and just in the memory, it just so yeah, to get it on Blu-ray, for maybe just do a Blu-ray review. Because I already reviewed the film, so I really don't know what else I could say that I didn't already say. But I still think it's an extremely underrated movie, and it's one of my favorite films. He then did People Under the Stairs in 1991, which I thought was a really good one. I reviewed that already. Thought that was a really good mix of dark humor and suspense and horror. For an episode of Nightmare Cafe, which I've never seen that show, called Aliens Eat My Lunch. I know Robert Englund was in that. He did New Nightmare in 1994, which I thought was a really excellent Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. That was very ingenious, and that was very inventive with its concept and the way it told the story. And nice to see Heather Langenkamp again, and I like the idea of Freddy, being a real life demon, and yeah, I thought it was a really great sequel. Followed that up with one of his worst films, Vampire in Brooklyn, but like I said, you can't always knock it out of the park. But still a pretty shitty movie, but the man's no longer with us, so I'm not really gonna. Sounds like a film that Eddie Murphy probably had a lot of creative input with. Then he did Scream, Scream 2, two films that I saw a long time ago, but I haven't seen in a long time, so I'm looking forward to revisiting those. He did a film called Music of the Heart, which was a drama with Meryl Streep. It wasn't an actual horror film. So if I could find it, that's just, it kind of might be interesting to see a drama from Wes. Then he did Scream 3. He did Cursed, which I didn't care for, but I'll give it another look. Red Eye, which I had never seen. He did a segment of Paris JTM. I don't think I pronounced that correctly. He directed My Soul to Take, which I've heard really shitty things about, but I still haven't seen. Then did Scream 4, which I still haven't seen, and that's the last film that he directed. The Scream 4. So, I would say still a really successful career. You got some movies where you started out, not as good as Nightmare on Elm Street, but you had a Nightmare on Elm Street, Surf from the Rainbow, Shocker, People Under the Stairs, some of my favorite horror films, New Nightmare, one of my favorite sequels, the Scream films. So, it's not perfect. I would say he's not up. I wouldn't say he's up there with John Carpenter for me. But John Carpenter to me is my favorite horror director. But I'd say he's up there with Tobe Hooper and other directors like that. Still a very talented director, and directed a lot of great films, and he will be missed. And yeah, it's a bummer. There's no other way to put it. It's a bummer. It's an absolute bummer. Thanks for the screams, Wes, for the terror, the nightmares, the laughs, the entertainment. Thanks for Freddy, Ghostface, and I personally will never forget your contributions to the horror genre. You didn't always hit your mark, but when you did, you fucking nailed it. And all I gotta say is rest in peace, Wes. All my condolences go out to your family and your friends. And I know you're in a better place now. No longer having to suffer with such an awful, horrible thing that is brain cancer. Can't imagine what pain, suffering you went through. At least it's over now. So rest in peace, and I and all of your fans will miss you dearly. And there will not be a day where we won't think of you, where we won't remember you fondly for your contributions to the genre of horror. Because without your contributions, Wes, the genre would not be what it is today. So I'm going to end this with a moment of silence for Wes. And I'm going to go check out some Wes Craven movies. So you feel free to do the same if you want. But I'm going to celebrate his life. I'm going to celebrate what he has given us. So